The world remembers Donald Trump as a man of extremes, bold, brash, unapologetic, and deeply polarizing. But few truly know the storm that raged within him, or the journey that led to one of the most surprising transformations in modern political history. It wasn't a transformation marked by sudden miracles or overnight epiphanies, but rather a slow unraveling of pride, power, and perception, a story that unfolded through moments of betrayal, loyalty, and unlikely redemption. Anthony Scaramucci knew Donald Trump differently than most. For 11 days, he stood as the White House communications director, watching the machinery of power from the inside. But his story with Trump didn't begin or end there. Scaramucci, a man who once believed in Trump's vision, later became one of his fiercest critics, only to find himself, years later, wrestling with forgiveness and reconciliation. On the other side was Ambassador Gordon Sondland. A businessman turned diplomat, Sondland wasn't the typical political insider. His loyalty to Trump was complicated, rooted not in ideology but in pragmatism. He believed in Trump's ability to disrupt the status quo, to challenge an old system that had long grown complacent. Yet, as he found himself testifying before Congress during the impeachment hearings, Sondland became both a symbol of Trump's controversial presidency and a reluctant truth-teller caught in history's grip. The story begins in the twilight days of Trump's presidency. The Capitol riots had left the world shaken. His legacy, once painted in the bold strokes of outsider triumph, was now overshadowed by division and chaos. Trump had always been a fighter, but for the first time in his life, he was cornered not by political enemies, but by the mirror of his own actions. Anthony Scaramucci, who had spent years calling Trump dangerous, arrogant, and unfit, found himself strangely restless. In interviews, he spoke with fire, but behind the scenes, there was an undeniable pull and unfinished conversation with the man who had once been his ally. Scaramucci wasn't seeking reconciliation for himself, he was seeking clarity for the world. Could Trump change? Could he transform? Or was he destined to remain a cautionary tale of unchecked power? Sondland, too, carried his own scars. His testimony during the impeachment had drawn wrath from Trump loyalists, branding him as disloyal. Yet, he still believed in honesty, still believed that truth, even when inconvenient, was the foundation of democracy. But deep down, Sondland carried something else, a quiet hope that Trump, the man he once supported, could one day rise above the worst of himself. The turning point came not in Washington, not in front of cameras, but in a private meeting years later. Scaramucci and Sondland sat across from Trump in a quiet Florida estate, the atmosphere heavy with unspoken tension. Trump looked older, his usual bravado dimmed but not extinguished. He began not with excuses but with silence.